So we're looking at Carl Jung's 7 Sermons to the Dead. And for those of you who don't know, Carl Jung is a very important figure. He was a student of Freud. He was a Swiss psychiatrist, and he brought the ideas of the collective unconscious and archetypes to the field of psychology. He was a very important figure in psychology, depth psychology, and he remains an incredibly important figure. He was the one that brought the idea of the shadow self to psychology. So, this text that we're going to examine, we're going to examine it, and then I'm going to give you my interpretation and how this fits in with Hyperianism and the nature of reality. But I want to give you some context on what this 7 Sermons to the Dead is about. So, the 7 Sermons to the Dead was written in a time of Carl Jung's life where he was engaging in voluntary hallucinations that he called active imagination. So he had this technique called active imaginations where he would voluntarily induce hallucinations. And he wrote a huge book, someone might say his magnum opus, called The Red Book. And the 7 Sermons to the Dead was a part of that. And the 7 Sermons to the Dead has been called by Stefan Huller as being essentially a summary of the most important aspects of the Red Book. So this text, the 7 Sermons to the Dead, was written by Carl Jung while he was engaging in active imagination, a time in his life when he was engaging in active imagination, doing these induced hallucinations and things like this. So what this is, though, is written as not from his perspective, but he's writing it as though he were a Gnostic. And this is written as a Gnostic text. So what is a Gnostic? What is Gnosticism? Gnosticism is a version of heretical Christianity. So you could call it sort of the blasphemous version of Christianity. Inverted, twisted Christianity. So for example, the Gnostics believed that the God of the Old Testament was an evil being called the Demiurgos. And they believed that the God of the Old Testament was an evil being that created this world of matter and trapped souls, divine sparks, into the realm of matter to power his creation. So they viewed this world of matter as a prison, as a hell that an evil God trapped souls into in order to power his creation. And they would be continuously trapped through the cycle of reincarnation into this world. So Gnosticism, yes, it is Christianity, but you could, again, look at it as evil, blasphemous, heretical Christianity. The inversion, or really the opposite of Christianity. A lot of them took the stance that they should break all the commandments, because if God was evil, then his commandments must be evil, right? So they would do things like intentionally try to break his commandments. And what I'm going to be doing is kind of giving you, you'll see, I'm going to be interpreting this as we go. So let's just start. I'm going to show you what I mean. The dead came back from Jerusalem, where they found not what they sought. They prayed me let them in, and besought my word, and thus I began my teaching. Hearken, I begin with nothingness. Nothingness is the same as fullness. In infinity, full is no better than empty. Nothingness is both empty and full. As well might ye say anything else of nothingness, as, for instance, white is it, or black, or again, it is not, or it is. A thing that is infinite and eternal hath no qualities, since it hath all qualities. Now this is very important, so I want to draw your attention to what's being said here. So take a look at this discussion of nothingness. So nothingness is the same as fullness. Infinity is no better than empty. Nothingness is both empty and full. So what does this mean? What this means is that if you, first of all, I want you to remember that there is so today when humanity thinks of the concept of infinity, they think of a never-ending sequence, right? like 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, ... A never-ending chain. But that is not what infinity truly means ontologically. What infinity means is everything. All that is. If you were able to gather up everything in existence and say, here it is, that would be infinity. So don't think of infinity as a never-ending chain or a never-ending sequence. Imagine infinity as fullness, completeness, everything, all that there is. So, when they say hearken, I begin with nothingness. And nothingness is the same as fullness. In infinity, full is no better than empty. So what this means is that if you were to take infinity, which is everything, that would be equal to nothing. Because everything and nothing are the same thing. So why is that? Because if you have, say, positive and negative, what's the result of positive and negative? Well, it's zero. So if you imagine taking all the energy of all of existence and at the same time, well, it resolves into nothingness, right? If you were to take everything, it would resolve into nothingness. And a good way to imagine this is imagine a blank piece of paper. Do I have a blank piece of paper? If you imagine a blank piece of paper, right? And if you were to do a drawing, you know, let's say put black and white drawing on here. You could only see the drawing because of the parts of the page that we've blacked out, right? If we put black on the page, the black is what creates the drawing. But if you take everything, it resolves into nothingness. Because all things are nothing at the same time. Nothingness and emptiness is the same thing. So now we continue. This nothingness or fullness we name the pleroma. Therein both thinking and being cease, since the eternal and infinite possess no qualities. In it, no being is, for he then would be distinct from the pleroma, and would possess qualities which would distinguish him as something distinct from the pleroma. Okay, so here we have this nothingness or fullness, what we just talked, this infinity that is nothing. It's given a name. We're going to call it the pleroma. And in Gnosticism, the pleroma is the realm of divine light, okay? So we'll just think of, but you know, we can even skip that for now. Just the pleroma is the realm of everything and nothing. And in there, in the eternal and infinite, no qualities are possessed. There is no being in the pleroma. Now, why is that? Well, that's because the pleroma is everything and nothing at the same time. And you can't have something exist in the pleroma that would have a quality. Because to have a quality means that you're also something that isn't. So, for example, let's say you have a red ball. Well, you can't have a red ball in the pleroma because a red ball, since it's red, that also means it's not green, it's not blue, it's not black. To have a quality means it also doesn't have other qualities. And the pleroma is everything and nothing. It is everything and nothing at the same time. So you can't have something existing in the pleroma that has being, that has qualities, that has distinction, because then it would have a quality. It would be red and not green. But in the pleroma, it is everything and nothing. So it would be a contradiction to say that you had something within it that had a quality, because that would negate the idea of what the pleroma is. So in Hyperianism, just to give you a parallel, in Hyperianism, the pleroma is the source. Okay? In Hyperianism, the source is the pleroma. It is the domain of mind. Now we have this nothingness that is fullness, and it's everything and nothing. It's the infinite. And it's the pleroma. It's the realm of divine light. So this is the foundation of reality, the arche of reality. In Hyperianism, this is the source, the domain of mind. It is everything. It is nothing. It is ontologically equal to zero, right? This is why Jordy, thank you so much for the donation. Thanks for helping us wake up the world. You said thank you for this. You're very, very welcome. So once again, in Hyperianism, this is why we say all reality is equal to 0. Because if you have all numbers, both positive and negative, and you combine them, what's the result? It's 0. So all energy, all frequency, all mathematical data resolves to 0. So mathematically speaking, the pleroma is the source. It's all reality. All values add to 0. Brenna, thank you so much. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. Brenna says, I wish I could give more right now, but your work is fantastic and honestly the only thing that makes any sense. I'm so glad that you're enjoying my work. That means a lot. I'm glad that you guys enjoy this. By the way, guys, if you guys are on Facebook, please share this video and hop on over to YouTube. That's where I'm interacting with people. Okay, so let's move on. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay too and everything. If there's ever any issues, yell at me, let me know. All right. So we're at the ground of reality. It's both infinite and nothing. It's the realm of divine light, which we call the pleroma. There are no qualities within it. In this pleroma, there is nothing and everything. It is quite fruitless to think about the pleroma, for this would mean self-dissolution. Creatura is not in the pleroma, but in itself. And by creatura, Justin, I appreciate the donation, my friend. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. So by creatura, what Jung means is a creature, a thing, a being, an entity, something with qualities, right? In Hyperianism, we would call this something that exists in the space-time domain, in the holos. So creatura, you can just think of it as, for simplicity's sake, think of it as a creature, a thing, a being, an entity that exists in the physical. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. Kim says, thank you, Morgue ad astra, ad astra. So creatura, a being, a thing, is not in the pleroma, but in itself. The pleroma is both beginning and end of created beings. All right, this is super important. So let's really look at this. Creatura is not in the pleroma, but in itself. The pleroma is both beginning and end of created beings. It pervadeth them, as the light of the sun pervadeth the air. Although the pleroma pervadeth altogether, yet hath created being no share thereof, just as a wholly transparent body becometh neither light nor dark, through the light which pervadeth it. We are, however, the pleroma itself, for we are a part of the eternal and infinite. But we have no share thereof, as we from the pleroma infinitely removed. As we are from the pleroma infinitely removed, not spiritually or temporarily, but essentially, since we are distinguished from the pleroma in our essence as creatura, which is confined within time and space. Okay. Tammy Horton and Karen Cook, thank you so much. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. So this is a really important section. Let's break this down. The pleroma is both beginning and end of created beings. The creatura is not in the pleroma. Okay, so here we have, this is really important. So here we have that creatura, created, beings, physical things, aren't in the pleroma. But the pleroma is the beginning of them, and it pervades and is in them. So the pleroma is in them, but they are not in the pleroma. And the pleroma is the beginning of them, and the cause of them, but again, they are not in the pleroma. So how can we make sense of this? How can we make sense of this? And this is where a metaphor of a hologram is super important. So just a reminder how a hologram works. Let's say that you have a source of light. Let's say it's a laser pointer or whatever. Let's say you have a source of light, and then you have the holographic sheet, and when you shine the light on the holographic sheet, it produces let me make this bigger. It produces a three-dimensional image. So you have the light source that shines on the holographic sheet and produces the three-dimensional image. Now, we can think of the pleroma as being the light source and the three-dimensional image as being space and time, or creatura, or entities in space and time. So, the source, the pleroma, is the light. Now, but remember that according to this, creatura is not in the pleroma, but the pleroma is the cause and pervadeth creatura. So now think about the hologram. The hologram produces the image. The light produces the image. But is the three-dimensional hologram inside of the light? No, of course not. But is the light inside of the hologram? Yes, it is. The light is the cause of the hologram, and it pervadeth. It is inside of the hologram. It is the cause, and it pervadeth the hologram, but the hologram is not inside of the light. So this is what it means that creatura, entities within space and time, aren't in the pleroma, but the pleroma is the cause of the dimension of space-time, or in this terms, creatura. So once again, creatura is not in the pleroma, but in itself. The pleroma is both beginning and the end of created things. Remember that hologram. Although the pleroma pervadeth altogether, yet hath created being no share thereof, just as a wholly transparent body becometh neither light nor dark, through the light which pervadeth it. We are, however, the pleroma itself, for we are a part of the eternal and infinite. But we have no share thereof, as we are from the pleroma infinitely removed, not spiritually, but essentially, since we are distinguished from the pleroma in our essence as creatura, which is confined within time and space. So let's look at this in the eyes through the lens of Hyperianism, because this is saying that we are part of the pleroma because we are divine and infinite, but at the same time we're not part of the pleroma. So what does this mean? Again, let's look at a hologram. Okay? So remember, we have the light and we have the image. Now, remember that in Hyperianism, we are all eternal minds. And as eternal minds, we link to these bodies, and these bodies are just our avatars. It's not what we really are. We are eternal mathematical minds called monads. So as eternal mathematical minds called monads, we exist within the mental realm, which is the domain of divine light, the pleroma, the mathematical frequency domain. But our bodies are creatura, part of the space-time domain, part of the hologram. So we are both part of the pleroma and removed from the pleroma at the same time. We're part of it because we as mental entities exist within the pleroma as beings of mind ourselves, but our bodies are the holograms, and that part is what is removed from the pleroma. But remember, it pervadeth us because it pervadeth all things. So we are both eternal, divine sparks, mathematical minds, mathematical monads that exist within the source, in Gnostic terms, the pleroma. But our bodies, creatura, are part of the hologram portion, the holos. This is why we call it the holos, because it's very much like a hologram. So we are both part of the mental domain, the pleroma, and separate in a certain way. But remember, the separation is an illusion, because ultimately, is the hologram really separate from the light? No, it really isn't. It's just an illusion that it's separate from the light. So we're gonna keep going. This is super important. But we've had I wanna say thanks to everyone real quick. So let me just scroll through and see who donated here. One moment, guys. I lost. Where did the comments go? I'm coming. Where did the comments go? Ah, here they are. Let me jump into the comments here. Thank you so much for your donation. Matt, Mara, Patrick, TJ Keel, Absinia, and Amanda. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. Let me see what you guys said. Those who included the message. Mara said, my boyfriend and I really like your last live. I'm glad I was able to actually make it to this one. I really love the messages you're sharing. Your information is great. Ad Astra. I'm glad you were able to make it to this live. Thank you for joining us. TJ says, I found you through Facebook. I watch every live stream and everything you speak of. I completely agree with. Thank you for all the work you do in helping us wake up the world. Thank you, my friend, Ad Astra, to you. I'm glad you found me through Facebook. Once again, if you're on Facebook, please come over to YouTube. The link to YouTube is on the description of the video. It's in the caption. Come join us, subscribe. That's where I interact with people. That's where you can help. Absinia says, hi, Morgue. Where do entities like etheric spiders exist? Are they monads? I saw one when I woke up. It crawled across the ceiling and disappeared. Science calls it hypogogic hallucination. So this is a manifestation. This feels very much like a sleep paralysis moment. I've had this happen as well, actually. When you wake up and you're in sleep paralysis, and it doesn't always happen when you're always in sleep paralysis, but you can see a spider or shadowy figures, and this is a projection from your unconscious mind. You're in a state that's in between sleep and dreams. So what's happening is your sleep world is leaking into the objective reality. So you are seeing, you're halfway between the dream world and the waking world at the same time. Good question. Amanda says, your explanations are excellent for helping grasp these concepts. Thank you. This is the type of stuff that should be taught in schools. I'm glad you think so, Amanda, and I'm glad that you are enjoying the work and enjoying this live. I'm happy to hear that, guys. So, let's get back into it, shall we? Where are we? Where are we? Okay, so where we left off, we have the pleroma. The pleroma is both infinite and everything. This world is a material world, so-called material world, but you can think of it like a hologram. It's not part of the pleroma, technically, so to speak, but the pleroma creates it and pervadeth it. We are both part of it and not part of it at the same time. But our not being part of it is ultimately an illusion. Our bodies, our avatars, are separate from this pleroma, from the realm of divine light. And in Gnosticism, this is why they viewed the material world as evil. Because it separates. It's an illusion of separation from the source, from the pleroma. So they viewed the material world as this evil cosmic hologram that an evil god trapped them into that separates them from the realm of divine light. And that he used their divine sparks to power his creation. Which is really interesting how these Gnostics were really getting very close to some extremely profound ideas, such as the world, coming close to holographic ideas, of which now physics is just barely starting to catch up with ideas from Leonard Susskind and other physicists in the holographic principle. And black holes, which I'll be doing videos about that very soon. So, okay, so let's pick back up. Let's pick back up here. Yet because we are parts of the pleroma is also in us. All right, that's just what we just discussed all this. Even the smallest point is the pleroma endless, eternal, and entire, since small and great are qualities which are contained in it. That's again another, very similar to the holographic principle. It is that nothingness which is everywhere, whole and continuous. Only figuratively, therefore, do I speak of created being as part of the pleroma. Because actually the pleroma is nowhere divided, since it is nothingness. We are also the whole pleroma, because figuratively, The pleroma is the smallest point, assumed only, not existing, in us, and the boundless firmament about us. But wherefore then do we speak of the pleroma at all, since it is thus everything and nothing? So it's both everything and nothing. It's vast and tiny. You can think of this again like a singularity. A singularity is infinitely small. It is a point of nothingness, yet contains, a vast amount. Kim, thank you so much. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. And Tony, I don't know if I said thank you before, but thank you. So why do we speak of the pleroma at all, since it is thus everything and nothing? I speak of it to make a beginning somewhere, and also to free you from the delusion that somewhere, either without or within, there standeth something fixed, or in some way established from the beginning. Every so-called fixed and certain thing is only relative. That alone is fixed and certain, which is subject to change. So they're basically saying, why are you talking about the pleroma at all, since it's both everything and nothing and has no qualities? And he's essentially, he's saying, well, I got to talk about it because I have to start somewhere. And I think those of you who know Hyperianism can relate to this, because when people say, well, what is Hyperianism? It's like, oh my God, where do I start? There's just so much. And this sort of exasperation you can see in this Gnostic text where the writer is saying, well, I got to start somewhere. You want to know about this information I'm trying to get across to you? I have to start somewhere. What is changeable, however, is creatura. Therefore, it is the one thing which is fixed and certain, because it hath qualities. It is even quality itself. So creatura, creation, space-time is the one thing which is fixed and certain because it has qualities. It is quality. The question ariseth, how did creatura originate? Blue Raven, you donated $50. My God, thank you so much. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. You are awesome. And for that, we get a color change for a while. Thank you, Blue Raven. You are amazing, my friend. It means so much to me. Okay. Man, when someone donates that much, I wish I could do more. I want to say, I can only say thank you so much, though. I just don't know. Thank you. Okay. Where are we here? You got me off track. You made me lose my place. Okay, so now we're talking about how did creatura, how did space and time, entities, beings originate? And the question ariseth, how did creatura originate? Created beings came to pass, not creatura, since created beings is the very quality of the pleroma, as much as non-creation, which is the eternal death. In all times and places is creation. In all times and places is death. The pleroma hath all, distinctiveness and non-distinctiveness. Distinctiveness is creatura. It is distinct. Distinctiveness is its essence, and therefore it distinguisheth. Therefore man discriminateth, because his nature is distinctiveness. Wherefore also he distinguisheth qualities of the pleroma, which are not. He distinguisheth them out of his own nature. There must he speak of qualities of the pleroma, which are not. So basically, what is being said here is that when humanity, tries to speak about the pleroma, they are using distinctiveness, but the pleroma has no distinction. So when humanity, speaks of the pleroma with distinction, you are saying something about the pleroma that is actually not what the pleroma is, because the pleroma has no distinction. So what this means is the pleroma, it has no distinction. For you to say something about it is to give it a distinction. So whenever humanity tries to say something about the pleroma, you're giving it a quality that it doesn't have, because to say something about it implies that it has a quality, but it has both all qualities and no qualities. So if I were to say, you know, the pleroma is red, again, that would be false, because to say it's red means it's not blue and not red and not green, but it's everything. So whenever humanity says something about the pleroma, it's actually not quite true, because it's to give it a distinction, and pleroma has no distinction. Now in Hyperianism, the pleroma is the source. And in Hyperianism, we can know the source, but only mathematically, because the source is mathematics. The source is mathematical. It's mathematical frequency. So in Hyperianism, when we talk about the source using human language, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be right. Just like what they're saying here about the pleroma. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be right. So in Hyperianism, when you talk about the source using human language, it's never going to be right. It's like a metaphor, an analogy. It's only through mathematical language, the language of existence, ontological mathematics, that we can know it truly. Well, we got some donations here. Let me say thank you. Alyssa Garcia, thank you so much. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. And Alley Cat donated $40. Thank you so much for helping us wake up the world. You are awesome, Alley Cat. I appreciate it. That's a very cool thumbnail too. Not a thumbnail, but what do you call it? Your avatar. Very cool. I love that. Very witchy. I appreciate that. That means so much. You are awesome. Again, I don't know what to say. Thank you. God, thank you so much. Oh, I got the chat. You guys can see my chat there. That's how I see the chat, by the way. It's all dark and whatnot. Okay, let's jump back into it. Again, I really appreciate that. I don't know. I wish I could say more, but thank you. All right, let's jump back in here. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. This is a really important text. My God, Alley Cat just donated another $50. You donated $90. Holy shit. Thank you so much. You are awesome. I don't know. I would do something if I could. I'm at a loss for words. That means so much to me. Thank you, Alley Cat. Stop it! Look, you're gonna make me blush on camera. I'm not wearing makeup right now, so you'll be able to see it too. Thank you so much. Okay. God, that makes me forget my place here. Okay, so here we're talking about how you can't really speak about the pleroma because we're giving it qualities that it doesn't really have. In Hyperianism, we know that we can speak about the source. Well, we can't speak about the source, but we can know it through ontological mathematics. Because that's what it literally is. My God, Alley Cat, thank you for another $10. That's $100 from you. Jeez. Thank you. Stop this. You're crazy. You're crazy. Thank you so much. All right, let me try and keep going here. Alley Cat is the Mr. Beast of Hyperianism, apparently. Jeez. Amanda, thank you so much. Amanda says, Morgue, just as an FYI, Mara and Tammy. What? Mara and Tammy each donated $100? Holy shit, and Blue Raven donated 150? Okay, so Mara and Tammy, if you guys donated $100, I am sorry if I missed that, but thank you so much. And Blue Raven just donated $150. Jesus Christ! You just made me use my favorite curse word, by the way. Jesus Christ is my favorite curse word because it's the most filthy word. It's done the most damage to this world, but holy shit! Thank you so much, Blue Raven. I don't know, what are we gonna do? You get, alright, I guess we get, I don't know what kind of light you get. You get all the colors. You get every color. So, Jesus. I don't know what to say. I feel like I need some kind of confetti popper device or something. That just means, you know, to know that you guys appreciate what I'm doing here that much. Not that, you know, money equates to that, but geez, thank you. Thank you. Holy shit, Tammy donated $100. And Alyssa, I see you donated too, Alyssa. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Tammy, holy shit, $100. Thank you so much. I don't have any more lights, guys. I am maxed out on my lights. My God. Well, thank you. I don't know what else to say. Thank you so much. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, I was not expecting that today. Cheers. I feel like I should open a bottle of champagne or something. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. And I'm glad that you enjoyed reading. The Alley Cat super chatted $50. My God, I don't even know how much you've donated now, Alley Cat, but it's a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Liz Northrup, thank you so much for helping us wake up the world. You're awesome. Oh, Liz says, offer them a free pin and book. Yeah, for sure. Those of you guys, man, Tammy, Alley Cat, if you want a free book and pin, send me an email. Send me an email and I'll get you one. For sure. Jeannie says, donated $2 and says, thank you, Jeannie. We deserve a strip show. Ah, I see. You want a strip show. That's what you don't, the lights aren't enough now. Now you want me to strip. But yeah, for sure. For Tammy and Alley Cat, and God, I'm just drawing a blank right now. Was there someone? Yes, Blue Raven donated as well. God, how could I forget? I'm sorry. Send me an email. Or DM me on Instagram, because I don't want to make my email public if you don't know my email. DM me on Instagram with your address, and yeah, I'll send you a free book. And oh shit, I can't send you a pin because I think I'm out of pins. I'm sorry. With all the shit going on in the world, my pin supplier hasn't been able to get me more pins. But I'll send you a free book and sign it to you as well. So DM me. Alyssa Garcia, thank you so much, and also wants a strip tease. I'm not stripping, guys. Maybe not this live. All right, this is a very serious 7 Sermons to the Dead breakdown. We're discussing the pleroma, the realm of divine light. This is not the time for stripping. No. Thank you so much for helping us wake up the world. IN28IVE. That might say something, but I can't figure it out. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, let me try and get back to reading here now, guys. What color are we on? Stop the colors. Queen Last Light. Thank you so much. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. Says thank you for the way you explain things. Please don't strip. So Queen Last Light says, Queen Last doesn't want me to shove. Alley Cat just donated another $100. You are the Mr. Beast of Hyperianism, Alley Cat, and said what you said. Dance. I am not dancing. I am not dancing. Thank you for the donation. So much. I don't know what number you're at right now, but geez. It must be like $200 or something. Thank you so much, Alley Cat. Jordy donated. Thank you, Jordy. And said, please keep reading. Okay, I'll get back to reading. God, you've made me so red now, Alley Cat. Thank you, Alyssa Garcia. You are awesome. Thanks for helping us wake up the world. Okay. All right. Look. Oh no, I'm mirrored here. Look. We're trying to read. We got it on screen. Danica, thank you so much for helping us wake up the world. Okay. I feel like I'm so short right now. It's because I'm... All right, let's get back to this here. So where the hell were we? Okay, so we were talking about how you can't say anything about the pleroma because it adds a quality to it which it doesn't have. In Hyperianism, we know that we can define it mathematically, however. Now, just so you know, there isn't a one-to-one correspondence. Not everything in here matches up perfectly, but when it does, I'll let you know. Okay. What use say ye to speak of it? Saidst thou not thyself there is no profit in thinking upon the pleroma? So why even talk about it? Aren't you saying that there's no use thinking about it? That said I unto you to free you from the delusion that we are able to think about the pleroma. When we distinguish qualities of the pleroma, we are speaking from the ground of our own distinctiveness and concerning our own distinctiveness, but we have said nothing concerning the pleroma. Concerning our own distinctiveness, however, it is needful to speak, whereby we may distinguish ourselves enough. Our very nature is distinctiveness. If we are not true to this nature, we do not distinguish ourselves enough. Therefore, we must make distinctions of qualities. So basically, they're saying, why are you talking about the pleroma when you can't make distinctions or qualities of the pleroma? And the response is basically that, like, look, we can't. You're right. But that's the best that we can do as being distinctive creatures. So that's the best we can do. It's not right. It's not real accurate, but that's as close as we can get to it. Again, in terms of Hyperianism, this is a very good way to think about it, because in terms of Hyperianism, when we talk about the source using language, it's not completely accurate. It's not completely true. It's only when we use the language of existence itself, ontological mathematics, that it is true. What is the harm, ye ask, in not distinguishing oneself? If we do not distinguish, we go beyond our own nature, away from creatura. We fall into indistinctiveness, which is the other quality of the pleroma. We fall into the pleroma itself and cease to be creatures. We are given over to disillusion in the nothingness. This is the death of the creature. Therefore we die in such measure as we do not distinguish. Hence the natural striving of the creature goeth towards distinctiveness, fighteth against primeval perilous sameness. This is called the principium individuationis. The principle is the essence of the creature, for this is why you can see why indistinctiveness and non-distinction are a great danger for the creature. So basically saying we are creatures by the very fact that we have distinction. If we removed all distinction, we would sort of be swept back into the pleroma, we would cease to be creatures, and we would be in this realm of indistinction, essentially. And does this have some parallels to Hyperianism? Well, in a certain way. The source is pure and eternal, and the holos is that which has distinction. So, yes, if we were to completely and totally exist in the source, it would be this realm of completeness, togetherness, and infinitely satisfying, really. But whenever we want to have an experience, we do have to generate distinction. This is why when we generate dream worlds, right? We generate a dream body that we inhabit. So this is some high-level thinking where, yes, it does mean that you lose distinction, so to speak. But since we're all eternal minds and eternal monads, we are all individuals at the same time. But let's keep going, because I wanna keep going, and we could just keep talking forever about this, because each thing is like a Russian doll, and we could just unpack it and unpack it. But let's keep going. I see some of you guys are donating too, and I'm gonna thank you. But I'm gonna read for what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go to the comments and thank everyone, because you guys are awesome, and I would just never be able to read. So, okay. So basically, here's what he's saying. This is what we're going to do. We can't talk about the pleroma, but we're going to try. We can't talk about it because we can only give it qualities, but we're going to try. And the way we're going to try is by talking about pairs of opposites. Because we can't... The only way to kind of talk about it is to talk about it as pairs of opposites. Because it's not one or the other, it's both. But we can't utter both at the same time, but we're going to try. We must therefore distinguish the qualities of the pleroma. The qualities are pairs of opposites, such as the effective and the ineffective, fullness and emptiness, living and dead, difference and sameness, light and darkness, the hot and the cold, force and matter, time and space, good and evil, beauty and ugliness, the one and the many, etc. The pleroma is all these things. The pairs of opposites are qualities of the pleroma which are not, because each balanceth each, right? It both is and isn't. It's both good and evil, but not, because good and evil cancel each other. It's both hot and cold, but it's not hot and cold, because hot and cold cancel each other. So you see, you think of it, is the pleroma hot? Yes. Is it cold? Yes. It's both, so it's nothing. Do you see how it can be everything and nothing at the same time? It's both hot and cold at the same time, which result in nullity. It's everything and nothing. Everything and nothing. The pairs of opposites are qualities of the pleroma which are not, because each balanceth each. As we are the pleroma itself, we also have all these qualities in us, because the very ground of our nature is distinctiveness. Therefore we have these qualities in the name and sign of distinctiveness, which meaneth, 1. These qualities are distinct and separate in us, one from the other. Therefore they are not balanced and void, but are effective. Thus are we the victims of the pairs of opposites. The pleroma is rent in us. 2. The qualities belong to the pleroma, and only in the name and sign of distinctiveness can and must we possess or live them. We must distinguish ourselves from qualities. In the pleroma they are balanced and void, in us not. Being distinguished from them delivereth us. So we contain all these things as well. We contain hot and cold, good and evil, light and dark. But we express them not at the same time. Not in equality and balance. Or else they would nullify. Right? Like, my clothing is both black and white in different ratios in different parts. I'm not both black and white at the same time, or else I would vanish. You know what I mean. Metaphorically, of course, not metaphorically. So we have these qualities within us, but we actualize them in different ratios, such that we have distinctiveness. When we strive after the good or the beautiful, we thereby forget our own nature, which is distinctiveness. And we are delivered over to the qualities of the pleroma, which are pairs of opposites. We labor to attain to the good and the beautiful, yet at the same time we also lay hold of the evil and the ugly, since in the pleroma these are one with the good and the beautiful. When, however, we remain true to our own nature, which is distinctiveness, we distinguish ourselves from the good and the beautiful, and therefore at the same time from the evil and the ugly. And thus we fall not into the pleroma, namely into nothingness and dissolution. Thou sayest, ye object that difference and sameness are also qualities of the pleroma. How would it be then if we strive after difference? Are we in so doing not true to our own nature? And must we nonetheless be given over to the sameness which we strive after difference? Ye must not forget that the pleroma hath no qualities. We create them through thinking. If therefore ye strive after difference or sameness, or any qualities whatsoever, ye pursue thoughts which flow to you out of the pleroma, thoughts namely concerning non-existing qualities of the pleroma. Inasmuch as ye run after these thoughts, ye fall into the pleroma and reach difference and sameness at the same time. Not your thinking, but your being is distinctiveness. Therefore, not after difference as ye think of it must ye strive, but after your own being. At bottom, therefore, there is only one striving, namely the striving after your own being. If ye had this striving, ye would not need to know anything about the pleroma and its qualities, and yet would ye come into your right goal of virtue by your own being. Since, however, through estrangeth from being, that knowledge must I teach you, wherewith ye might be able to hold your thought in leash. Now here is something important to understand. And this is, remember, not everything has 100% parallels. But this is where it ties into Hyperianism. And this is what Hegel was talking about as well. So what you have here is in terms of Hyperianism, and as Hegel pointed out, all reality is the pleroma, which is us as minds. We then throw ourselves into matter, which is this created hologram, and we are then coming to self-knowledge and self-understanding of knowing that what we truly are isn't the hologram, but is the pleroma itself. So, right now, us having this conversation, me talking to you right now, is the pleroma, the source, coming to self-knowledge, right? Like, as you learn these things, you start to realize, oh, I am the source. I am the mind. I am the absolute. I am the infinite. So do you see how we are coming to know ourselves? Even, this is what's so exciting. Literally right now, as you watch this live feed, we're coming to self-knowledge as the holograms that were created from ourself, from our own essence. And as we strive to be more and more like our own essence, through gaining knowledge and understanding of ontological mathematics, we will ultimately enter into that realm of divine light again, which is both everything and nothing, and it's this just infinite, near eternal moment of satisfaction as all distinction is removed and everything falls into place. Imagine like a Rubik's Cube solving itself, or all the puzzle pieces. Imagine a puzzle that you're putting together and the pieces fit together so well that the puzzle vanishes, right? It's such the perfect puzzle that when you put it together in such perfection, they fit together so well that it all vanishes. And it's just so infinitely satisfying. I'm spitting here. It's so infinitely satisfying, right? You know that satisfaction you get when you complete a puzzle? Imagine the infinite satisfaction of completing reality, such that all things resolve. right? This is the ultimate goal and what we're leading up to. Let me jump in here real quick and jump into the comments, and then we'll keep going. But my goodness, I don't even know if I missed some of you guys. I am so sorry. Alley Cat again, thank you. Alyssa is delivering hearts. Dejaris. Alley Cat again. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. Okay, so I think I thanked everyone who sent a donation while I was reading there again. So once again, if I missed someone, I'm really sorry. But thank you again for helping us wake up the world. And now I'll try my best to be able to thank you guys in real time now. But I'm just looking at the comments here real quick. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this so much. This means a lot to me, and I hope you can see how incredibly intelligent Carl Jung was. Because look at all these ideas he was hitting on, right? We have ontological mathematics. We have all this, this was written, I think, somewhere around the 1920s, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you so much for the donation, Skullblade Studio. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. Skullblade says, forgive me for interrupting your teaching. Are you still swallowing swords and giving them to people? Okay, yes. It's the, yes, that is the, if you become a supporter on Patreon, the highest tier, I think it's called like Omega Supporter. Yes, I will swallow a sword, sign it to you, and send it to you. And that is for the highest tier supporter in Patreon. So if you want to see the details, just go to patreon.com, look up MorgueOfficial, that's me, and look up the different tiers, and that's the final one. Okay, so let's jump back into this. So once again, I hope you guys see how incredible Carl Jung really was. Did he get everything right? No, but he was onto something. He got very, very close. And once again, I hope you can see again how intelligent the Gnostic system was. And you can see why Christianity hated it. They considered it heretical and blasphemous. Because in essence, they were equating themselves with the divine. And basically saying, hey, what the fuck, God? Why did you imprison us in this realm of matter? We are divine beings. What the hell? And yeah, the church wasn't too happy about that. So let's jump back into this. In the night, the dead stood along the wall and cried, we would have knowledge of God. Where is God? Is God dead? God is not dead. Now as ever he liveth. Now I want to remind you right now that when in this book, when Jung is saying God, in this book, he's not talking about the God of the Old Testament, right? He's not talking, that's not what he means. He doesn't mean the guy in the sky with the beard who, drowned the world with a flood. So get that out, don't think that. He's going to define what he means by God. Okay? So we would have knowledge of God. Where is God? Is God dead? God is not dead. Now as ever he liveth. God is creatura, for he is something definite and therefore distinct from the pleroma. Alley Cat, thank you so much for helping us wake up the world. Thank you for the donation. God is quality of the pleroma, and everything which I said of creatura also true is concerning him. So you can see how this would be very blasphemous and very heretical. He is distinguished, however, from created beings through this, that he is more indefinite and indeterminable than they. He is less distinct than created beings, since the ground of his being is effective fullness. Only insofar as he is definite and distinct is he creatura, and in like measure is he the manifestation of the effective fullness of the pleroma. Everything which we do not distinguish falleth into the pleroma and is made void by its opposite. If therefore we do not distinguish God, effective fullness is for us extinguished. Moreover, God is the pleroma itself, as likewise each smallest point in the uncreated and uncreated is the pleroma itself. So here again, we're talking about the holographic principle once again. Remember that we are the pleroma itself in a certain sense, since the pleroma pervadeth everything, right? Just like the hologram, the light is pervadeth everything. Alley Cat, thank you so much. You are awesome. Thank you. Effective void is the nature of the devil. God and the devil are the first manifestations of nothingness, which we call the pleroma. So they're basically saying out of nothingness, the first opposites that come to be are God and the devil. It is indifferent whether the pleroma is or is not, since in everything is balanced and void, not so creatura. And so far as God and the devil are creatura, they do not distinguish each other, but stand one against the other as effective opposites. We need no proof of their existence. It is enough that we must always be speaking of them. Even if both were not creatura of its own essential distinctiveness, we would forever distinguish them anew of the pleroma. So essentially, when you think of God and the devil, for our purposes, think of it metaphorically, right? Think of it as like opposites. And basically, we're saying, well, you don't need to prove that they exist by having evidence, but you just know that they have to exist because opposites imply the other. Just like hot implies cold, up implies down, black implies white, negative implies positive. So don't think of God and the devil as these, we're being metaphorical here. Don't think of them as a guy with horns and a guy with a beard. Think of them as forces of nature. Forces of nature, different attitudes, archetypes. There are archetypes. For those of you who are familiar with archetypes, they're archetypes. Everything that discrimination taketh out of the pleroma is a pair of opposites. To God, therefore, always belongeth the devil. The inseparability is as close and, as your own life have made you see, as indissoluble as the pleroma itself. Thus it is that both stand very close to the pleroma, in which all opposites are extinguished and joined. God and the devil are distinguished by the qualities fullness and emptiness, generation and destruction. Effectiveness is common to both. Effectiveness joineth them. Effectiveness therefore standeth above both. Is a God above God? Since it is in its effect it uniteth fullness and emptiness. So basically, again, we're defining God and the devil as like different qualities, different forces, things like that. There is a God whom ye know not. Now this is really important. Ernestus Marcus, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. All right, here comes a really important part. There is a God whom ye know not. For mankind forgot it. We name it by its name Abraxas. It is more indefinite still than God and the devil. That God may be distinguished from it, we name God Helios or sun. Abraxas is effect. Nothing standeth opposed to it, but the ineffective. Hence its effective nature freely unfoldeth itself. The ineffective is not, therefore, resisteth not. Abraxas standeth above the sun and above the devil. It is improbable probability, unreal reality. Had the pleroma a being, Abraxas would be its manifestation. It is the effective itself, not any particular effect, but effect in general. It is unreality because it has no definite effect. It is also creatura because it is distinct from the pleroma. The sun hath a definite effect, and so hath the devil. Wherefore do they appear to us more effective than indefinite Abraxas? It is force, duration, change. The dead now raise a great tumult, for they were Christians. They didn't like that. The dead were not happy with that. Thank you for the donation, Alley Cat. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. You're awesome. So here we have the introduction of this god Abraxas. Now Abraxas, as said right here, had the pleroma a being, Abraxas would be its manifestation. If the pleroma were a being, it would be Abraxas. Abraxas is the pleroma as a being, if it could be a being. Abraxas stands above God and the devil. It is transcendent to all. Abraxas is all things united. In terms of Hyperianism, Abraxas is the absolute. It is all reality and all existence come to know itself, become conscious of itself. So you can imagine that the pleroma exists, but when the pleroma, and this is in terms of Hyperianism again, when the pleroma becomes conscious of itself, this is Abraxas. This is Abraxas fully actualized. This is the absolute. It is all things combined together. It is the highest of the higher selves. It is above God and the devil. It is above light and dark. This is why in Hyperianism you can see, our symbol of unifying all opposites together. All things unified together. This is Abraxas, the not light or dark, not sun or the moon, but both the sun and the moon, both shadow and light. Again, in terms of Hyperianism, Abraxas is reason. In here, it's saying that Abraxas is force, duration, and change. In terms of Hyperianism, Abraxas is reason, the laws of mathematics, what makes everything work. Reason. Reason is above good and evil, light and dark. And the reason why it's above good and evil, light and dark, is because there's a certain place for anything, just like shadow and light, right? Dionysus and Apollo. There are certain times when we need to experience reality and existence and indulge in sensuality, and there are times when we need to gain knowledge and understanding. And Abraxas stands above them all and is the ordering function and is the great orderer and is reason that knows that there is a place for all things, because all things are a part of creation and each thing has a place. So Abraxas is this transcendent, the reason, the absolute that knows itself and knows that everything has a place and a function. Alley Cat, once again, thank you so much for the donation. And of course, and then it ends here by saying, the dead now raised a great tumult, for they were Christians. They don't like hearing that there is a God, reason, that is the true, above and beyond all other gods. Like mists arising from a marsh, the dead came near and cried, "Speak further unto us concerning the supreme God." Hard to know is the deity of Abraxas. Its power is the greatest, because man perceiveth it not. From the sun he draweth the summum bonum, which summum bonum means like the greatest good. Ernest Marcus, thank you so much for the donation. Ernest says, ad lucem. Thank you, my friend, to the light. From the sun he draweth the summum bonum, which means the greatest good. From the devil, the infimum malum, which would mean like the greatest darkness. But from Abraxas, life, altogether indefinite, the mother of good and evil. So realizing that life is above good and evil, it is the mother of all things. Smaller and weaker, life seemeth to be, than the summum bonum. Wherefore it is also hard to conceive that Abraxas transcendeth even the sun in power, who is himself the radiant source of all the force of light. So Abraxas is more powerful than the sun. It's basically saying that, Abraxas is more powerful than, in terms of those days, more powerful than God. And to them, that would be like more powerful than God, more powerful than the devil. It is the supreme guiding force. Abraxas is the sun, and at the same time, the eternally sucking gorge of the void, the belittling and dismembering devil. Have you ever seen, maybe an anime where there was like a dark being and a light being, but something happens and they clash and come together to form a being that is above and beyond both of them? That would be Abraxas. This was like, in the Dark Crystal. At the end of the Dark Crystal, you have the Skeksis and the Mystics. But at the end, they came together and formed a being that was above and beyond them both. That is Abraxas, above good and evil combined, because it can use both powers of light and shadow to do its bidding. It is higher than them both because it has the best of both. In Hegelian terms, it is the thesis and the antithesis brought together to form the synthesis, a transcendent idea that is above its parts. The power of Abraxas is twofold, but ye see it not, because your eyes are warring opposites of this power are extinguished. So it's like you guys are used to seeing in opposites, so it's hard for you to understand and know Abraxas. You're used to putting things in boxes. This is good, this is evil, this is light, this is dark, this is that. It's hard for the people I'm speaking to right now to understand, because you're used to seeing things in terms of opposites, but not unification. This is Swine Hyperianism. We're all about unity. We're all about unification. What the God-Son speaketh is light. What the devil speaketh is death. But Abraxas speaketh that hallowed and accursed word, which is life and death at the same time. Abraxas begetteth the truth and lying, good and evil, light and darkness, in the same word and in the same act. Wherefore is Abraxas terrible. It is splendid as the lion in the instant he striketh down his victim. It is beautiful as a day of spring. It is the great Pan himself, and also the small one. It is Priapos. It is the monster of the underworld, a 1,000-armed polyp, coiled knot of winged serpents, frenzy. It is the hermaphrodite of the earliest beginning. Again, hermaphrodite, not male or female, but both male and female. It is the lord of the toads and frogs, which live in the water and go up in the land, whose chorus ascendeth at noon and at midnight. It's both the smallest and the most powerful. It is abundance that seeketh union and emptiness. It is holy begetting. It is love and love's murder. It is the saint and his betrayer. It is the brightest light of day and the darkest night of madness. To look upon it is blindness. To know it is sickness. To worship it is death. To fear it is wisdom. To resist it not is redemption. God dwelleth behind the sun, the devil behind the night. What God bringeth forth out of the light, the devil sucketh into the night. But Abraxas is the world, its becoming and its passing. Upon every gift that cometh from the God-Son, the devil layeth his curse. Everything that ye entreat from the God-Son begetteth a deed of the devil. Everything that ye create with the God-Son giveth effective power to the devil. That is terrible Abraxas. It is the mightiest creature, and in it the creature is afraid of itself. It is the manifestation of opposition. It is the manifest opposition of creatura to the pleroma and its nothingness. Again, it's all things. It's both the pleroma and its manifestation, right? It's not just the pleroma, And it's not just the hologram. It's the pleroma and the hologram. It's the source and the holos. It's all things. It's the source coming to knowledge of itself, that knows itself through itself, that pervadeth itself and looks upon itself. It is all things, the smallest creature, the greatest creature, light and dark, force itself, all of it. All of it. Alley Cat, thank you again for the donation. I appreciate it. It's the mightiest creature. That is terrible, Abraxas. It is the mightiest creature, and in it the creature is afraid of itself. It is the manifestation of opposition of creatura to the pleroma and its nothingness. It is the son's horror of the mother. It is the mother's love for the son. It is the delight of the earth and the cruelty of the heavens. Before its countenance, man becometh like stone. Before it there is no question and no reply. It is the life of creatura. It is the operation of distinctiveness. It is the love of man. It is the speech of man. It is the appearance and the shadow of man. It is illusory reality. Now the dead howled and raged, for they were unperfected. Again, they did not like this. So as you can see, we're big fans of Abraxas. If we wanted to have a entity that sort of represented Hyperianism, it would be Abraxas, because once again, you can see our symbol is the unification of, we have the thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and in all things unified. You see how it is all, you might have opposites, but opposites paired together, and above and beyond all of them. So yes, we are big fans of Abraxas. Again, we are not light workers. Neither are we just shadow workers, but we are both. We are both shadow and light, guided by the highest wisdom. We are transcendent to all these things. The dead filled the place murmuring and said, "Tell us of gods and devils, accursed one." The God's Son is the highest good, the devil is the opposite. Thus have ye two gods. But there are many high and good things, and many great evils. Among these are two god-devils. The one is the burning one, the other the growing one. Excuse me. Alyssa Garcia, thank you so much for the donation and helping us wake up the world. Thank you, Alyssa. The burning one is Eros. And of course, Eros is this erotic sort of love. The burning one is Eros, who hath the form of flame. Flame giveth light, because it consumeth. The growing one is the tree of life. It buddeth, as in growing, it heapeth up living stuff. Eros flamed up and dieth, but the tree of life groweth with slow and constant increase through unmeasured time. Good and evil are united in flame. Good and evil are united in the increase of the tree. In their divinity standeth life and love opposed. So in this crash, this flaming flame of love, good and evil unite, and they become more and more united as the tree grows. So as reality progresses, as we become more evolved, we become more united and more unified as we reflect the united pleroma, and opposites are united in this, passion and flame and flux, and the tree of life of existence grows through as things become more unified. This is why we're always talking about unity. Good and evil are united in the flame. Good and evil are united in the increase of the tree. In their divinity stand life and love opposed. Innumerable as the host of the stars is the number of gods and devils. Each star is a god, and each space that a star filleth is a devil. But the empty fullness of the whole is the pleroma. The operation of the whole is Abraxas, to whom only the ineffective standeth opposed. 4 is the number of the principal gods, as 4 is the number of the world's measurements. 1 is the beginning, the God's Son. 2 is Eros, for he bindeth twain together and outspread himself in brightness. 3 is the tree of life, for it filleth space with bodily forms. 4 is the devil, for he openeth all that is opposed. All that is formed of the bodily nature doth he dissolve. He is the destroyer in whom everything is brought to nothing. So Jung was really upset with the quaternity and the number 4, because again, he saw 4 being different opposites. You can imagine an opposite here, and then another axis, which you had an opposite here and an opposite here, being 4 points, point, 2 opposites, point, 2 opposites. So he was really obsessed with the number 4. However, in Hyperianism, we use the number 3 a lot. The reason why is because 3 really emphasizes, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So in Hyperianism, this is why you see things like 3, 6, and 9 quite a bit, because ultimately it has the same meaning, because we're being very metaphorical at this point. At this point, numbers are being metaphorical. So we look at 3 as being, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, shadow, light, wisdom, all these different things that you can see being brought together into a whole. Alyssa Garcia and George Vega, thank you so much for your donation, and thank you for helping us wake up the world. Once again, guys, if you are on Facebook, please support by subscribing on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. The link is in the caption of this video, and that's how you can support. Also, guys, support on Patreon is so helpful. Okay, so let's get back here. So this is why Jung is talking about numbers, but it's very metaphorical at this point, okay? For me, to whom knowledge hath given of the multiplicity and the diversity of gods, it is well. But woe unto you who replace these incompatible many by a single God. So he's saying, woe unto you. What I'm talking to you about now is about, multiplicity and these different forces that come together. But woe unto you who replace all these ideas with the idea of like a God, an external God that you worship, like what the God of Christianity, what Christians did, right? And he's saying that's a mistake. These are forces of nature. It is what we are, innumerable multiplicities. It's so much more. And if you try and put this in a God that you worship, things aren't going to turn out well for you. Ernestus Macas, thank you so much for the donation and helping us wake up the world. Hey, Morgue, can these higher entities give guidance? Well, essentially, these are archetypes. So they are a part of you. They're the forces of your unconscious. So what you should always be looking to do is, and this is what he just said, woe unto you who worship a single God. Also, woe unto those who look to an external entity. Always look within your mind. Always look within your unconscious. So, and again, this is what our symbol represents: shadow self, mirror self, and power self, all intertwined within the unconscious. So you should always be looking inwards, right? It's about actualizing our unconscious, making the unconscious conscious. It's not about, looking to an alien or a higher entity. It's about actualizing your own self. If you did, right, come into contact with a higher entity, guess what that higher entity would tell you? That higher entity would tell you, look within yourself. Don't look to externality. Look to internality. Make the unconscious conscious. So if you were, take it from me, if a higher entity were talking to you right now, that higher entity would tell you to look within yourself and to gain knowledge through understanding the world and yourself. So hopefully that makes sense, okay? It's a distraction to, try and find these higher entities or communicate. It's all about, it's all about evolution, self-evolution. And that's about understanding the nature of reality, understanding these ideas, and self-actualizing. So great question, my friend. Great question. Thank you for the donation, Alicia Lyon. Thanks for helping us wake up the world. Really enjoying this book. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. P.S. This is the best bedtime story ever. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. You're very welcome. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this reading. Okay. So let's get back here. Great question, by this way, Ernestus. I think that's a question that many people have, so thank you for voicing it. Okay. So we just got to the point where Jung, in the voice of a Gnostic teacher, is saying, "Woe unto you who replace these incompatible many by a single God. For in so doing ye beget the torment which is bred from not understanding, and ye mutilate the creature whose nature and aim is distinctiveness. How can ye be true to your own nature when you try to change the many into one? What ye do unto the gods is done likewise unto you. Ye all become equal, and thus is your nature maimed. Equality shall not prevail, not for good. Equality shall prevail not for good, but only for the sake of man. For the gods are many, whilst men are few. The gods are mighty and can endure their manifoldness. But for stars they abide in solitude, parted one from the other by immense distances. But men are weak and cannot endure their manifold nature. Therefore they dwell together and need communion, that they may bear their separateness. For redemption's sake I teach you the rejected truth, for the sake of which I was rejected. The multiplicity of the gods correspondeth to the multiplicity of man." So here is something that I would like to comment, and I think this is where Jung actually gets something very, very wrong. So Jung is basically saying, synthesizing all opposites is for the gods. It's not for mere man. And you would basically destroy yourselves by doing so. But here's the thing. In Hyperianism, we seek to become God. And Jung had this idea of the mana personality. And Jung basically said, well, you shouldn't try and incorporate the mana personality because it's basically too powerful. But in Hyperianism, we don't exactly have the mana personality. We have something called the power personality. And this is something very, very similar. There's some differences, but it's similar. So here's where we part ways a little bit for Jung, because Jung kind of stopped at a point. Jung kind of almost started to deny his divinity and be like, we got to take it easy. But no. This is where Hyperianism says we go higher and we go beyond. We strive to become God. We will become Abraxas. Abraxas is what we are. The manifoldness, the infinite, the one and the many. We are the one and the many. We are the absolute. We are that tree that's growing and uniting, and we will become it. So it's very important to understand that in Hyperianism, we are reaching not to be like, we're just creatura and we'll always be creatura and we should accept that we... No. Just like the ancient Gnostics, we will break from matter and transcend and be above and beyond. Again, that's what Hyperion means. Hyperion means to go higher. So we are all about moving higher and going above and beyond. Okay. Numberless gods await the human state. Numberless gods have been men. Man shareth in the nature of the gods. He cometh from the gods and goeth unto God. Thus, just as it serveth not to reflect upon the pleroma, it availeth not to worship the multiplicity of the gods, which is true. We should not worship the multiplicity of the gods. We are the gods. And the gods are archetypes. They're not beings. It's all within us. But he says, it serveth not to reflect upon the pleroma. In Hyperianism, we very much want to reflect it upon the pleroma. It is our goal to reflect and know the pleroma. That's the whole goal of reality. The pleroma creates this hologram of itself so that it may reflect upon itself and know itself. So in contrast here, now we're definitely seeing some contrast. In contrast, we can and we do want to know the pleroma. And we can and do know the pleroma through reason, through ontological mathematics. Mara, thank you so much for the $50 donation. My God, you get a blue background. Y'all, anyone donates above $50, let me know the color of the background you want. Let me see what Mara said here. Mara said something. Will you do a video on archetypes? I have a hard time understanding the shadow. I use tools, of course, to connect with my inner higher self. I understand my blueprinter's soul, but I want to follow the shadow to learn more. Hey, guess what? It's your lucky day. I did an entire video series all about archetypes and making your higher self and actualizing your higher self. So go to my videos and look up the playlist Actualizing Your Higher Self, Inner Star Actualization. Okay? It's called Inner Star Actualization, Actualizing Your Higher Self. Talks about the shadow self, the mirror self, the power self, and actualizing them to become the higher self. So super important. Check it out. Great question. And yes, indeed. And thank you again for helping us wake up the world. Ernestus Marcus, thank you so much. It says 200 in NOK. I don't know what is NOK to USD. Let me just see how much that is. That's $20. Thank you so much, my friend. You are awesome. I appreciate that. And what did you ask? Next evolution minds out of space must come to this reality by making us real in our realm. Thank you again, man. You are awesome, my friend. Alley Cat, thank you for the donation. Says, how would you compare Hyperianism to Omniism? Well, you know what? I don't know what Omniism is. Let me take a look at that. Omniism is the recognition and respect of all religions or lack thereof. Those who hold this belief are called omnists. Okay, so I can easily answer this. Hyperianism definitely distinguishes itself from Omniism because it says that Omniism is the recognition and respect of all religions. We do not respect all religions. We do not respect, for example, the fundamentalist, literalist religions of, say, Christianity, because they teach terrible, terrible things. They teach that humans are flawed, that men are above women, that homosexuals should be killed, or racism, violence, homophobia, and yeah. So Hyperianism sees that that's not good and shouldn't be accepted. Just like, you know, we don't accept Nazism. Nazism is very bad. It emphasizes genocide. So Hyperianism, again, we shouldn't respect disrespectful beliefs. Should we respect a belief that says that homosexuals should be killed? No. Should we respect a belief that says men are above women? No. So very, very good question, and I hope that answered it. And I could go more into that as well, but let's get back to the reading. So where did we leave off here? So basically, okay, the brightest gods from the celestial world, it is manifold and infinitely spreading and increasing. The God Sun is the supreme lord of that world. The dark gods from the earth world, they are simple and infinitely diminishing and declining. Again, we are talking about archetypes. So, you know, what are dark gods? Well, you could think of it as your shadow self. Urges, violent urges, lustful fetishes. It doesn't mean that lustful fetishes are bad, right? Because remember, it's about being above good and evil. It's about using reason to know when things are okay and when they're not. But I'm just saying this is what you have to understand by when we're talking about, you know, sort of gods and whatnot. We're talking about archetypes. So unconscious structures that guide and structure the mind. And do me a favor, guys. I am super happy to answer your questions, but try and keep them somewhat on topic to what we're reading. It doesn't have to be super on topic. Like that question about omniism was really good because we're talking about religion. So definitely ask a question about religion. But, just don't ask me what, how to cook carrots right now. Because, yeah, I could talk about that, but I want to talk about this. All right, where are we? Okay. The dead mocked and cried. So the dead aren't too happy. And you see how we call how they're being called the dead? Because they don't understand. They're the Ignavi. In Hyperion terms, the dead here are the Ignavi. They're the sleepwalkers in this shared dream who don't understand reality. So here we have the Ignavi and this Gnostic teacher. By the way, Gnostic means knowing. We call Ignavi the ignorant. Ignavi doesn't literally translate to ignorant, but that's what we know the Ignavi as, the ignorant. And then you have the Gnostic, which means knowledge, the knower. So you have the dead, which are the Ignavi, which are the ignorant. And the knower, the Gnostic, is trying to get them across to understand, but it's not so easy, right? Have you ever tried to talk to someone about Hyperionism and they just don't get it, and they might make fun of you, or they might think you're stupid, or they might, and meanwhile, they believe in crazy things, right? The things they believe in are just utterly insane, but they just don't have the cognitive capacity to understand these higher ways of thinking. Hyperionism is the most complex idea and system in the world. So again, if you can even grasp some of the Hyperion ideas, the fact that you are here and listening to these ideas means that you have a greater cognitive capacity than the vast majority of humanity. So if some of this is hard to understand, don't feel bad. The very fact that if you can grasp some of it, or are trying to understand or see that there is truth in it, you're already miles and miles above the vast ignorant Ignavi masses that this world is populated by. The sleepwalkers, you are part of the knowers. Those who go higher, the Hyperions. Okay. The dead mocked and cried, "Teach us, fool, of the church and Holy Communion." Because, of course, fools always call the wise fools. Thank you so much for the donation. Alley Cat says, do you think sleepwalkers in the shadow realm can follow a person throughout their life? So what a shadow creature is that follows you really is a piece of your unconscious that needs to be resolved. The mind communicates in imagery and projections. The mind doesn't communicate in words and languages. So your mind isn't gonna say, oh, hey, you have some shadow content that you need to deal with. It projects shadow creatures and images that might appear in dreams, or in a state between waking and dreaming, or in a psychedelic state. Or for some people, even in a waking state. For for some intuitive people, their dream state can leak into their waking life. So these shadow images are manifestations of your shadow self. And, this is an indication to do some inner reflection and work on shadow integration. I'm out of water. Oh, no. Once again, to know more about this, check out my series on inner star actualization. There was a whole episode devoted to the shadow self, what it is, integration, and all that. Okay. So the fools are mocking the wise man, because the fools always call the wise a fool. The dead mocked and cried, "Teach us, fool, of the church and Holy Communion." The world of the gods is made manifest in spirituality and in sexuality. The celestial ones appear in spirituality and earthly in sexuality. So there's nothing wrong with sexuality, spirituality, and sexuality. Spirituality conceiveth and embraceth. It is womanlike, and therefore we call it Mater Coelestis, the celestial mother. Thank you so much for the donation, Darcy. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. Darcy says, this has been amazing. Thank you, Morgue. Also, the Patreon app is great. Thank you. Big shout out to all the supporters on Patreon. That's the best way to support. Can't tell you how much that helps. Link to support Patreon is in the link in this video. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying this reading. Okay. So spirituality conceiveth and embraceth. It is womanlike, and therefore we call it mater coelestis, the celestial mother. Sexuality engendereth and createth. It is manlike, and therefore we call it phallos, the earthly father. Carl Jung had this habit of separating things into male and female. He did this with his concept of the anima and the animus as well. I don't really like this. This is why in Hyperianism we replace the anima and the animus with the mirror self. So it's beyond gender binaryism and is more as a moving spectrum. So Carl Jung did have this habit of separating things into male and female. I don't really like that too much. So once again, just look at these things as opposite forces. Not necessarily masculine and feminine, but just as opposite forces, opposing forces. Okay. The sexuality of man is more of the earth, and the sexuality of woman is more of the spirit. The spirituality of man is more of heaven, it goeth to the greater. The spirituality of woman is more of the earth, it goeth to the smaller. Lying and devilish is the spirituality of the man, which goeth to the smaller. Lying and devilish is the spirituality of the woman, which goeth to the greater. Each must go to its own place. Man and woman become devils one to the other. Man and woman become devils one to the other when they divide not their spiritual ways, for the nature of creatura is distinctiveness. The sexuality of man hath an earthward course. The sexuality of woman has a spiritual. Man and woman become devils one to the other if they distinguish not their sexuality. Man shall know of the smaller, woman the greater. Man shall distinguish himself both from spirituality and from sexuality. He shall call spirituality mother and set her between heaven and earth. He shall call sexuality phallos and set him between himself and earth. For the mother and the phallos are superhuman daemons, which reveal the world of the gods. They are for us more effective than the gods, because they are closely akin to our own nature. Should ye not distinguish yourselves from sexuality and from spirituality, and not regard them as of a nature both above you and beyond, then are ye delivered over to them as qualities of the pleroma. Spirituality and sexuality are not your qualities, not things which ye possess and contain, but they possess and contain you. For they are powerful daemons, manifestations of the gods, and are therefore things which reach beyond you, existing in themselves. No man hath a spirituality unto himself, or a sexuality unto himself, but he standeth under the law of spirituality and of sexuality. Man is weak, therefore is communion indispensable. Okay, so real quick, again, I'm going to talk about this whole male-female distinction thing, because again, that is something that annoys me and that I don't entirely agree with. I don't agree with it all, actually. But again, think of them as forces. Alley Cat said, thank you for the donations. Darcy, Alley Cat, and who else? Was it Alyssa? I'm sorry, sometimes this is hard for me to... Ernestus, Alley Cat, Darcy, thank you. I'm loving this reading, of course. Like a fluid yin and yang. Yeah, you could think of it as yin and yang in a certain way. Again, like opposing forces that flow into each other. But again, so one quick thing I want to say, though, that he does say that is interesting is that sexuality and things like this, he's saying this isn't part of you, but it's a manifestation of the gods. By saying a manifestation of the gods, meaning that it's a manifestation of the forces of nature. So the forces of existence, of reality. So having things like a penis and a vagina are manifestations of the forces of reality. So it's almost like saying, don't get caught up in the human game of like, oh, I'm a human, I have a dick and I want to fuck. But realize that the idea of being able to come together and unite in this physical form are manifestations of an underlying structure and the laws of existence. So the underlying laws of existence of coming together and unifying manifest through us as sexual organs and fucking. So it's basically saying, don't get caught up in the human game and think that these are distinctive qualities of creatura, that they're real, so to speak, but they're manifestations. They are consequences of an underlying order and structure. That's how they come about. That's how they express themselves. And I'm going to touch one more upon this whole male-female thing again, because I think it's important to make a distinction. No man therefore escapeth these daemons. You should look upon them as daemons, and as a common task and danger, a common burden which life had laid upon you. Thus is life for you also a common task and danger, as are the gods, the first of all terrible Abraxas. Man is weak, therefore is communion indispensable. If your communion be not under the sign of the mother, then is under the sign of the phallos. No communion is suffering and sickness. Communion is everything. In everything is dismemberment and dissolution. Distinctiveness leadeth to singleness. Singleness is opposed to communion. But because of man's weakness over against the gods and daemons, and their invincible law, is communion needful. Therefore shall there be as much communion as is needful, not for man's sake, but because of the gods. The gods force you to communion. As much as they force you, so much is communion needed. More is evil. I'm gonna touch on this in just a moment, but I wanna get through this and then tackle it all in one fell swoop. In communion, let every man submit to others, that communion be maintained, for ye need it. In singleness, the one man shall be superior to the others, that every man may come to himself and avoid slavery. In communion there shall be continence. In singleness shall be prodigality. Communion is depth, singleness is height. Right measure in communion purifieth and preserveth. Right measure in singleness purifieth and increases. Communion gives us warmth. Singleness gives us life. Okay. Let me just talk about, like, what is this whole communion thing? So basically what communion is here is just remembering and reflecting that there is a mental realm. So basically they're saying, like, we're physical beings, but take time for communion. And communion is meaning take time to remember that we are eternal mental beings of a divine nature. In Gnostic terms, it would be like, yeah, know that you're creatura and fuck, but take communion to remember that you are part of the pleroma. By the way, many of the Gnostics were very, very sexual. And some of the Gnostics believed that this material realm was evil. So they didn't want to reproduce. So they would have oral sex and anal sex in order to have sex and not reproduce. But they were real into being carnal because, remember, a lot of them wanted to break the commandments of God because they thought the commandments of God were evil. So remember, Gnostics were very, very interesting individuals. Again, the church hated them because of things like this. Hated them. So once again, communion here is saying, you're a physical being, you have urges, but take the time to remember that you're also a spiritual being, a being of mind. And so this idea of communion, of course, was totally perverted by the church. The church had this idea of communion, like to drink the flesh and blood of Jesus Christ. You drink the wine because it's the blood of Christ. You eat the bread because it's the flesh of Christ. Crazy zombiness. However, as the philosopher Hegel points out, in mystery schools, in secret societies, drinking of the wine and eating of the bread in communion had a completely different meaning. In secret societies and mystery schools, the drinking of the bread and the eating of, the drinking of the wine and the eating of the bread represented the nullity of nature. Because when you eat the bread and drink the wine, you nullify it. In Hegelian terms, you negate it. And so it's to remind us that ultimately, right, reality is nothing. It's this self-negating thing that is ultimately nothing and everything at the same time. So in secret societies, mystery schools, communion, the drinking of the wine and the eating of the bread, as the philosopher Hegel points out, represents the understanding of the nullity, the negation of existence. That existence is this being and nothing at the same time. The everything, the eating of the bread and drinking of the wine is the representation of the everything and nothingness of existence. The church's version of, drinking God's blood and eating his body is stupid. All right, let us continue. Oh, and let me touch on the whole male-female thing again, because that annoys me a lot. Carl Jung had this big habit of putting things into boxes of male and female. And in this whole reading, basically what he was saying is that, like, men and women have different ways of being spiritual and sexual. Men are spiritual in a certain way and sexual in a certain way. Females are spiritual in a certain way and sexual in a certain way. And ultimately they clash. So men and women need to recognize that they have a difference in spirituality and sexuality, and understand that they have this difference so that they don't clash and can contribute to each other's growth. And that's a really basic way to look at it. Like, if you want to really generalize things, okay, fine, sure. But that's kind of like saying men wear makeup and women don't. Well, guess what? Men can wear makeup. Some men do. And some women don't wear makeup and some don't. So men and women can express their sexuality and spirituality in completely different ways. And it's not relegated to gender. So it's not like men are one way, women are the other, and there's this whole other spectrum too. We have non-binary and gender fluid, so we need to look at things in a spectrum. So Jung's idea was like, okay, men experience it a certain way, women experience it in a certain way, and they need to know how they experience it so they don't clash with each other. We need to take out this binary thinking and instead think of it this way. Let's say I want to have a connection with someone. I would go, I experience sexuality, spirituality in a certain way. This is how I do it. You, please educate to me how you do it. Now let's grow together in our relationship now that we know more about each other. So it's not about, remember, so it's beyond gender. Regardless of I'm male and you're female, or I'm male and you're male, or you're female and you're female, or we're both gender fluid or non-binary, doesn't matter. The idea is that I want to communicate with my partner or partners my sexuality and my spirituality. And you should communicate it with me as well, so that we know how each other work and so we can vibe and flow together better. So hopefully that makes sense. Much different than a binary sort of thing. And I just really want to stress that, because again, Carl Jung is awesome, but one of the things that I'm not a fan of Carl Jung's is his binary thinking. Okay. The daemon of sexuality approacheth our soul as a serpent. It is half human and appeareth as thought desire. The daemon of spirituality descendeth into our soul as the white bird. It is half human and appeareth as desire thought. The serpent is an earthly soul, half daemonic, a spirit and akin to the spirit of the dead. Thus too, like these, She swarmeth around in the things of earth, making us either to fear them or pricking us with intemperate desires. The serpent hath a nature like unto woman. She seeketh ever the company of the dead, who are held by the spell of the earth, they who found not the way beyond that leadeth to singleness. The serpent is a whore. She wantoneth with the devil and with evil spirits, a mischievous tyrant and tormentor, ever seducing to evilest company. Sorry, I lost my place for a moment. The white bird is a half-celestial soul of man. He biteth with the mother, from time to time descending. The bird hath a nature like unto man, and is effective thought. He is chaste and solitary, a messenger of the mother. He flieth high above the earth. He commandeth singleness. He bringeth knowledge from the distant ones, who went before and are perfected. He beareth our word above the mother. She intercedeth. She warneth, but against the gods she hath no power. She is a vessel of the sun. The serpent goeth below, and with her cunning she lameth the phallic daemon, or else goadeth him on. She yieldeth up the too crafty thoughts of the earthy ones, those thoughts which creep through every hole and cleave to all things with desirousness. The serpent doubtless willeth it not, yet she must be of use to us. She fleeth our grasp, thus showing us the way, with which our human wits we could not find, which disdainful glance the dead spake. Oh, with disdainful glance the dead spake, cease this talk of gods and daemons and souls. At bottom this hath long been known to us. Okay, so here again, he's talking about these two opposite forces, and he's talking them again in terms of male and female, and I don't like that really, but let me give you the general thrust of what he's talking about. And let's talk about this in terms of the gods Dionysus and Apollo. So Apollo is what was the god of light, and we associate with Apollo with logic and reason. And then you have the god Dionysus, and the god Dionysus is the god of madness and sexuality and alcohol and intoxication and frenzy. So you have this dichotomy of sort of light and logic and reason and knowledge and singleness, and this idea of Dionysus, the shadow, sexuality, music, drunkenness, art, experience. And what we need to do, especially in Hyperianism, is recognize that both have their place, both shadow and light. And again, in Hyperianism, this has nothing to do with male and female. All right, we're all about equality. We're all about all right. So again, in these certain texts, I hate when they do the masculine feminine thing. I don't like it. So let's get rid of that. But it's about acknowledging logic and reason, the light of logic and reason, but also acknowledging Dionysus, shadow, music, art, sensuality, sex, lust. These are important parts of life. It's experience. The Dionysian cults were so Dionysus is described as sort of this gender fluid god, very agender, very what's the word? I can't think of the word right now when you're neither male nor female. But Dionysus, they would have the Dionysian rituals and the Dionysian mysteries. The Dionysian mysteries were banned in so many cities because they would go crazy. It was all about trying to reach the divine through combining all kinds of sensual experience. So they would have music, performance art, wine, intoxication, and orgies all at the same time. It would just be all of it all at once to get a sense of the divine. And from the but guess what? From the Dionysian mysteries came plays, came concerts. If you think of a concert that you go to today, think of when you go to a concert and there's music, people are drinking and smoking, they're on narcotics, they're in the pit, they're moshing, maybe it's violent. This is literally a result of the Dionysian mysteries. A modern day concert, they exist, they have its roots in the Dionysian mystery cults. Anyways, Dionysus was a lot of fun. We want to acknowledge Dionysus. Things like the church, they try and deny Dionysus. You don't want to do that because then becomes the shadow and will become destructive. We want to accept Dionysus, but we also want to acknowledge logic and reason, Apollo, and know that it must always be guided by logic and reason, and we can't let it get out of control and destroy things. Right? We can think about the social distancing right now. We know. Right? We love to go out. We want to go out. We want to have a good time. We want to engage in Dionysian type activities, but we're using our logic and reason to realize that we can't do that right now because that would be disastrous. So Dionysus untamed can result in disaster. It must be tamed by logic and reason to know there's a time and a place. Yes, Dionysus is great. It's awesome, but there's a time and place for it. Okay. So now we're almost finished. We are at the last sermon. The 7th sermon in the 7 sermons to the dead. Yet when night was come, the dead again approached with lamentable mien and said, "There is yet one matter we forgot to mention. Teach us about man. Man is a gateway through from the outer world of gods, daemons, and souls, ye pass into the inner world, out of the greater into the smaller world. Small and transitory is man. Already is he behind you, and once again ye find yourself in endless space, in the smaller or innermost infinity. At immeasurable distance standeth one single star in the zenith. This is the one God of this one man. This is his world, his pleroma, his divinity. In this world is man Abraxas, the creator and the destroyer of his own world. This star is the God and the goal of man. This is his one guiding God. To him goeth man to his rest. Toward him goeth the long journey of the soul after death. In him shineth forth as light all that man bringeth back. From the greater world to this one God man shall pray. Prayer increases the light of the star. It casteth a bridge over death. It prepareth life for the smaller world, and assuageth the hopeless desires of the greater. When the greater world waxeth cold, burneth the star. Between man and his one God there standeth nothing, so long as man can turn away his eyes from the flaming spectacle of Abraxas. Man here, God there, weakness and nothingness here. There eternally creative power. Here nothing but darkness and chilling moisture. There holy sun. Whereupon the dead were silent and ascended like the smoke above the herdsman's fire, who through the night kept watch over his flock. So here is an incredibly important point. Now we're saying that, Abraxas is the one God of man, pray to Abraxas. Please get out of your minds the idea that we need to pray to Abraxas. This is not what this means. This is all metaphorical. Abraxas is us. We are the one, we are the absolute. Our forms right now are simply transitory avatars. So the pleroma fractures and creates this holographic world. Our bodies are part of this holographic world to which we connect, and are able to have self-knowledge of ourselves. Our avatars as humans are fleeting and transitory. But we are all eternal minds, divine sparks of the pleroma. And we never will look to an external God. There's no such thing as an external God. We are all reality. We are the pleroma. We just haven't realized it yet. So our bodies are fleeting. They are contingent. They are corporeal. But we are ever evolving. And as we approach unity, we are evolving into Abraxas. And what is Abraxas? Abraxas is the absolute. It is the one fully actualized. It is us, our own self-knowledge. So the pleroma generates this hologram. We are within this hologram. As we have self-knowledge and fully evolve, we become all reality. We become Abraxas. We become the absolute. The absolute is the source, is the pleroma. It is the holos. It is space-time. It is the hologram. It is both together all at once. You see how you have the pleroma, you have the generative hologram, then you have the hologram that realizes what it is and realizes that it's the hologram and the pleroma. It becomes conscious. It is now Abraxas. We are the absolute. We are the creators. We are the destroyers. We are above God and the devil. The God and the devil work for us. God and the devil are simply forces, different points of view of forces, but we are force itself. The God and the devil are simply forces that are our subservience. They are within us, made from us, formed from us. All aspects of existence are formed from us. In ontological mathematics, we know that this is a mathematical reality, a reality of frequency patterns, a reality of waveforms. We are monadic minds, each monadic mind being a container of these frequency patterns. Through Fourier mathematics, we generate this holographic dream world through the holographic principle. And we understand through our evolution in this holographic world that we have generated from these frequency patterns, we come to self-knowledge of what we are. So you can see that Gnosticism and the Seven Sermons to the Dead is a storybook version of what ontological mathematics and what Hyperianism is. It's the source and the holos. It is our evolution into the absolute as told through the story of the pleroma, creatura, and Abraxas. It is our story of the source, the holos, avatars, monads, and our evolution to the absolute as individual minds recognizing that we are part of one system that form one mind, the absolute, and we all have the potential to become gods and goddesses and the universe itself, all reality, all existence, the power to create dream worlds rest within us. So here's the thing, real quick guys, that is the end of the Seven Sermons to the Dead. But there is a secret anagram. An anagram is mixed up letters where you put them together and they form something. So at the end is an anagram. These are mixed up letters, but guess what? They are mixed up in Latin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in the chat because I want to talk with you guys. So I'm going to jump in the chat and I'm going to thank those who donated, and then I'm going to jump in the chat. We're going to chat. I'm going to talk with you guys right now, except before I do that, I have to piss and I have to get some water. So I'm going to go take a piss and I'm going to go get some water, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk with you guys. While I do that, see if you can solve this anagram. I'll leave it up. It's mixed up letters in Latin. It's got a hidden message. Check it out. And I'm going to go pee. I'll be right back. Then we'll chat. I want to see how you guys are doing. Here, you can be entertained with lights. All right, I have returned. Let me put these back here. Perhaps someone figured out the anagram. I don't know. But let me get comfortable. Oh, much better, by the way. Let's jump back into the chat here. One moment so I can jump in the chat. Let me just say thanks real quick to people who may have donated that I didn't get. Yes, so Alley Cat and IN28. Thank you guys for the donation. Thank you for helping us wake up the world. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to jump in the chat here. What did you guys think of the 7 sermons to the dead? I'm also considering, I'm considering doing this a once a week sort of thing. What do you guys think about this? If we make this a regular sort of thing, because people always ask me, well, what books influence you? Well, what if instead of just telling you what books I like and what books influence me, that we actually read them together? And, I give this interpretation of how it relates to Hyperianism, ontological mathematics, and the nature of the world. What do you guys think? Does that sound like an interesting idea? Wow, Honest Mickey says, this is your best stream. Awesome. So many yeses. All right. Wow, I'm glad you guys. Blue Sybil said that was awesome. Man, I'm so glad that you guys are really enjoying this, because to be honest, I was like, oh my God. No, people hate reading. No one's going to want to read. But this is why I love the Hyperion community, because you guys enjoy knowledge. And this is why I say I always love hanging out with you guys, because I am so happy that you guys enjoy reading and knowledge and all this. That means the world to me. Alley Cat, thank you so much for the donation, as always. You've been fucking amazing this stream. So many yeses. That's great. By the way, guys, if you are watching on Facebook, for one, please share this video. That helps a lot. But if you're watching on Facebook and you want to support, please go to YouTube and subscribe. That's how you can show that you support. Also, real quick, I just want to say, make sure you hit the bell to turn on all notifications, so that you'll know when I go live, so you'll get notifications. And please hit that like button. Okay, let me check out. Yes, keep it coming. So many positive comments. I love this. Susan says this was a fantastic way to learn. So glad you thought so, Susan. I'm so happy you were able to join us. Thank you for the donation. Oh, you suggest the Nag Hammadi. I may read the Nag Hammadi, indeed. So what the Nag Hammadi texts are... Okay, that's something I might read. Maybe, sometime. So, you guys know how the Bible has... The Bible is a book that contains other books. It's a book of books. The Nag Hammadi and the Gnostic were discovered Gnostic texts. And the Gnostic texts were banned from the Bible, essentially. So these are the banned books of the Bible because they're Gnostic, and they taught very, very controversial things. Again, like that the God of the Old Testament was evil and things like this. So that could very well be something that I read. Jordy, I'm so happy to see you. I hope you're feeling better. Jordy says this was amazing. Thank you so much for this uplifting love. You're very welcome. I'm glad you made it. Oh, so Tannen Pace said you should read Terence McKenna's stuff on psychedelic plants and stuff. You know what I may do? Instead of reading Terence McKenna has a lot of really good recorded audio lectures. So what I may do is listen to the recorded audio lectures with you, and then we can pause and stop them like perhaps we'll listen to, say, 5 minutes, and then we'll stop it, and then we'll talk about, how these particular insights could relate to Hyperianism and things like that. So that's another idea for Terence McKenna and Alan Watts are two who I'm thinking about doing that, because the reason why is because both Terence McKenna and Alan Watts say incredible things, but they also say some things that are wrong. Again, please don't think I'm talking shit about them, because they are amazing thinkers. And they say some amazing things, but they do say some things that are wrong. So I'd love to be able to watch McKenna and Alan Watts videos with you guys, to be able to say, like, see, here are the things that he gets right, here are the things that he gets wrong, and here's how you can use logic and reason to know what's right and wrong, right? How you can use logic and reason to make that discernment. Mara, thank you so much for the donation and all your donations. Lucretius on the nature of the universe. All right, there's so many options. Dahlia says, definitely one of my favorite lives. I'm so glad you enjoyed this live. That means the world to me. Once again, you guys on Facebook, please go over to YouTube, share this video, share the video, and go subscribe on YouTube. Oh man, guys, how are we only at 261 likes? Smash that like button. Smash the like button for Abraxas. Abraxas compels thee to smash the like button. The story of Sophia. Well, you know what? I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give away what the next ones might be about, because then you guys are going to go sneakily read it beforehand. I guess that's not a bad thing, though, if you read it beforehand. But I'm so glad that you guys like this. Thank you all for smashing the like button. Nightcore, thank you for the donation, and thanks for helping us wake up the world. Nightcore says, you're very entertaining, fuckface. Good comment, my friend. We also may do some readings from Mike Hockney and Dr. Thomas Stark. Some great ontological mathematicians and philosophers. That's something we may do as well. So y'all should definitely let me know interesting ideas. Travis Hackley says, awesome stream. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Good to see you, Laszlo LeVay. You are here in almost every stream, I think. Thank you for stopping by as always. Sandra Hanan says, this was a very special live stream. Glad you enjoyed it. That makes me so happy, because I have so many. I'm glad you liked this particular book too, because I have so many that are, not the same, but similar. So you might consider this esoteric or occult. And some people don't understand what esotericism or occultism has to do with anything we talk about. But that's why I love to be able to read these things, but then give the translation, because it's all in metaphor. Because could you imagine someone just reading it on their own and be like, this book is about worshiping gods and praying and, if you don't have the translation there, sort of, people may miss what it's about. And this is how... remember in one of my videos, I talked about how when you go through an awakening, you remove your thought programs and then you structure a new one. And it should be structured according to logic and reason, but so many people do it by intuition. And that's when people take these stories as being literal and they start going way off the deep end and believing in crazy ideas. So esotericism and occultism can have very, very powerful ideas as long as they are examined metaphorically and we see what they're being communicated in an analogy and in symbol and metaphor. But there's a lot. There's a lot we could unpack. So much esoteric and occult sort of things. Philosophers. We could, check out some Hegelian stuff as well. Patricia Lucas, so good to see you. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Trent says, I lightly touched the like button as if it were my last semblance of will on this earth. Well, my friend, how divine, how wonderful of you to press the like button with such reverence. Just Me says, why don't you read from your book? Maybe. It feels kind of weird to read from your own book. Okay, my friends, I think that I am probably going to go, as it's been almost 2 hours. Whoa, way over 2.5 hours. Oh, Jeff M says, I just followed you on Patreon when you were reading. I was picturing Final Fantasy VII game. Oh, well, thank you so much for your support. That's fucking awesome. Let me see if there were any supporters that I need to give a shout out. That means so much to me. Thank you. Again, Patreon is the best way to support. Yes, I see that it says Jim became a supporter on Patreon. Thank you so much, Jim. Again, patreon.com, look up Morgue, that's me. The link is in the description. That is the best way to support what I'm all about and what I'm doing. I can only do this stuff because of you. So big shout out to everyone who donated today. Oh my God, Alley Cat and God, I'm trying to remember. Blue, was it Blue Raven? Alley Cat, Blue Raven, and was it Tammy as well that donated so much. You guys are crazy, but awesome. And thank you to everyone. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I am thinking about making this a weekly thing. That is something I am considering. And I'm glad that you guys seem to be all about it. So I'm super excited about that. Alley Cat, you are an awesome Patreon supporter. Thank you. Thank you for the donation, IN28. Oh, damn on Bravely, you're 021. Awesome. Thank you. Good to see you here. By the way, I think that this live is going to stay up. I think I'm going to keep it up so that you guys should I do that? Should I keep these lives up so that you guys so that they can be rewatched? Let me know what you think. Cuz I'm debating on whether they should stay up or not. We're getting I see a couple yeses. Oh, wow. Okay. There's some very, very enthusiastic yeses. Okay. Okay, excellent. I will certainly keep it up then. Fantastic. All right, guys, I am so happy that you were here with me today. I'm thinking this is going to become a weekly thing. So I'm going the next live is going to be Thursday at 4 p.m. in our Apocalypse Hangouts, but I'm probably going to be continuing doing this as well. So thank you so much. Please make sure that you are subscribed. Please hit the bell to turn on all notifications. I can't tell you how much that helps. That helps so much. And supporting on Patreon is the best way you can support. Shout out to all the supporters. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donation, Nightcore. Again, thank you so much to everyone who donated, and thank you to all you guys who support by subscribing, hitting that like button, just showing up and watching. You guys are amazing. I can't tell you how much it means the world to me, and I hope you enjoyed this reading of Carl Jung's 7 Sermons to the Dead, and will join me on this evolutionary journey as we ourselves come to self-realization that we are indeed Abraxas, the destroyer and the creator of worlds, both nothing and everything, the fullness and the emptiness. So good to see you here, guys, and I will see you next week. Ad Astra, to the stars. This will end, I promise. YouTube doesn't want me to end the... YouTube is not letting me end the video for some reason. But I will... This will end at some point, apparently. For those of you watching, still watching, the end stream button is literally not working. I'm pressing end stream, and literally nothing is happening. So give me a moment. YouTube apparently really likes this 7 Sermons to the Dead reading and doesn't want us to stop. So bear with me as I just try to figure out how to leave, how to get out of here. I want to go. I haven't eaten dinner. I need to cook dinner. I don't know what I'm making for dinner yet, but you guys are going to have to make dinner with me if YouTube doesn't let me end it. Read another story, Matt Pittman says. Okay, here we go. All right, for real this time. Good to see you, my friends.